This episode of Hope Ignited was recorded in April 2023.
All right, y'all. So excited to be back here at the Hope Ignited table. You know, we've had some really great guests, some family members. We've had some athletes. We've had just really a ton of really unique individuals here at Hope Ignited. But when I tell you that I'm fangirling today over our guest, I mean, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
This is a big
accomplished guy. This is going to be exciting to dig in.
It's not every day that you feel like you've got to read somebody's title. But when I tell you, Jesse, that I'm going to read your title because you're worthy of all the distinction here, I'm going to do it. So make sure I do it right. Okay. D1 football player for Navy. No big deal. NASCAR Xfinity series driver. Also no big deal. But definitely the best accolade here, Lieutenant Commander in the U.S. Navy. Give it up for Mr. Jesse Iwuji.
Wow, here we go.
Jesse!
A man's man right there. So excited.
Thank you for that intro.
Oh my gosh, we're so happy that you're here. You know, you are no stranger to NBCF. I think it was a little over a year and a half ago whenever we connected and you said, hey, I've got a heart for this mission. I've done my due diligence. I really like what you guys are doing. We're thinking about putting you on the car. My favorite thing about you that day, Jesse, and we can get more into this, you said, it's not enough for me to have the logo on the car. I really want to be able to speak to it. It's more about brand integrity. It's about mission integrity that aligned with you and your heart. And so we spent a lot of time together. I was so impressed by that because we work with a lot of athletes. We work with a lot of celebrities at NBCF, but it's not very often that somebody comes to us and says, can we jump on a call? It's their agent. It's their PR rep. You were like, no. Here's my cell phone. This is me. Like, let's connect. I want to live it. I want to breathe it because you wanted to bring life to our logo that was on your car. And that meant so much to us. I think that was the day that I knew that this was a long-term relationship and that you were going to be a part of the NBCF family, not just simply a one-time partnership. So thank you for that, for doing it right. But I'd like to start with, you know, our viewers, our listeners today know that we're coming to them from Frisco, Texas. So just a few minutes north of Dallas. Where are you calling from today, Jesse?
Yeah, so today I'm calling from maybe about an hour and a half east of LA. I live near Temecula, California, if anybody knows where that's from, where that's at. But originally I'm from Dallas, Texas, though. So Frisco, I actually remember playing them in high school when I played football in Carrollton, Texas at Hebron High School.
Oh, Hebron, yeah.
Yeah, and you were a big deal. Like if you Google, you were a big deal at Hebron High. I remember like big deal. And then how did you get to Navy? Like did you always want to be a football player?
Yeah. So, growing up in Texas, football is, the biggest sport there. Right. So naturally, I gravitated towards it and I wanted to be a football player. I wanted to go play college football. I wanted to play, and not only just any college football, I wanted to play Division 1A college football. So I had set this goal and dream of mine when I was in 9th grade. And when I first started playing football in 7th and 8th, I really wasn't that good at all. I had a lot of speed. I could run because I got all my genes from my mom, who was a track star in Nigeria. And, but football, like that wasn't something that really ran in the family. So me and my brothers, we were all very new to it when we first started playing. Well, I didn't really have all the skills that all the other kids had because they had played Little League and Pop Warner and all that stuff. My parents, they were very, very hardworking people and did not have any time to take us to any kind of Little League this, Little League that. They told us, hey, we want y'all to be in sports, but you're going to have to get in sports once school has sports for you. So we had to wait till 7th grade before we started playing organized sports. But getting into it that late, I was already 2, 3, 4 years later than everybody else. I didn't have that much skill at all. But what I did have was faith. Right. So every single night I prayed and prayed and prayed. I'm like, God, please give me the energy, the courage, whatever you have to give me so that I can do what's necessary today, every single day, tomorrow to continue to advance myself so I can get better and better and better. And he did. He put it in my mind that, hey, as long as you have a vision and you believe and you want to get somewhere, you'll achieve it. You just got to put the action towards it every single day, right? We can all sit here and dream about something all day. We can all sit here and think about it and have it in our minds. But at the end of the day, what you think about, you eventually got to bring about. So I started putting the action towards it every single day. I started working hard, trying to get my skills better. Wherever I lacked, I worked on getting it better. And, I would sit in my room each night and I'd have a football, throw it up, catch it with one hand 50 times each hand. And then I would do like 100 push-ups every night. And I do 100 calf raises and sit-ups and this and that. And I just kept on doing extra things outside of football every single day so I could get better, while all the other people who had that natural talent didn't. Well, eventually I surpassed them and got to a point where when I was in 11th and 12th grade, I started getting recruited by a few schools because I was doing better and better in football. And one of those schools was the United States Naval Academy. And for me, it was just a really good opportunity to go to a great school where I could get a great education, play football for a Division 1A school that not only was playing in Division 1, but was also doing really well in Division 1A. So, and then when you graduate, be able to serve as an officer in the United States Navy. So for me, it was a win in all different kind of ways. And I decided that was the school I wanted to go to. That's where I wanted to take my talents. And I figured it'd be a place that would really set me up for success in the future, no matter where I went.
I love that.
Hey, did you ever do that thing where you take a football and throw it on the roof and it would roll back down so you could practice catching it? Did you ever do that?
You know what?
Because that's what I did when I didn't have anyone to throw it to me.
If I did, I'd probably get a spanking when I get.
Oh yeah, your mom and dad didn't like that.
Noisy.
So, you reminded me of something that back when when because I started playing football late too. Of course, I didn't play at a D1 school, so my story doesn't end the same as yours. But I remember that I had moved to a new school. I was 15 years old, really skinny. I mean, like a coat hanger skinny. No muscle on me. And I got it in my mind that I wanted to play football. And it's like, I want to prove something, right? I'm going to prove that I got what it takes. And I remember before I had gone in to even do my first practice, I was in the backyard one time and this neighbor's dog was barking. And I went over to the fence and I don't know what I was thinking. I was going to like scare the dog or something so he'd stop. And he scared me. Like he got right up in the fence and scared me. And I kind of went running backwards and I hit the concrete and I landed on my back and it knocked the wind out of me. It's like I got hit by Ray Lewis. And I was laying on the ground and I said, you know what? And I'm out of breath and I'm in pain. And I go, I'm going to get hit a lot harder than this. So I better prove to myself I can get back up. So I jumped back up and I tried to shake it off. And then, of course, I did get hit way harder than that, a bunch of times as it is in football. What was the hardest you ever got hit early on when you go, okay, wait a minute, am I cut out for this?
The hardest hit. So in seventh or eighth grade, we were playing against. Actually, it was in a scrimmage in practice, and like you, I was super skinny. Didn't weigh a lot at all. I was just quick, but I didn't really have a lot of poundage behind me. And one of our running backs that we had at that time, who was on the A team, I was on the B team at that time. I was playing running back, and he was playing linebacker. And he, I'm running the ball and he comes after me, and my offensive line on the B team were not good at all. So he blows right by him and just completely demolishes me. And then right after he demolishes me, like literally takes the football out of my hands and then like just starts like ramming in my head, just like boom, 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 and then runs away. And I'm like, oh my God, that hurt. And then he like basically beats me up right after that. Right. Yeah. So I'm like, it was terrible, but I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to continue to push hard. I'm going to continue to get better. And eventually I will be the one who has the final laugh. Well, I actually ended up getting the scholarship, like I said, to the Naval Academy, which ended up being a bigger school than he eventually went to. So it all worked out.
See, that's the thing, right? It's like football, and I always explain that, we're a bunch of meatheads slamming into each other, but it's really like one of those early rites of passage for a young man of, kind of like, do I have what it takes? Is this feeling of like, if I can get hit and face this pain, or a guy who's way bigger than me, then I'll have the courage to take on other things in life. So early on, you were already, football became like this proxy for that, right? When you got into the Navy, what was an example of that? Not in a football type example, but were there some early challenges that you had?
Yeah. So football translates a lot to life, right? So football is a place where it's in a way an organized war, right? An organized battle, right? Where you get to go in it and, you should be all right getting out of it, right? But at least you get to go through a lot of trials, adversity. You go through good times, bad times, wins, losses. A lot of adversity. You go through
Teamwork.
pain.
Yeah.
You go, and not only just pain, but you go through injuries too. You go through things that will take you out physically, emotionally, mentally for days, weeks, sometimes years. That's what you go through in football, and you can take those lessons and apply it to a lot simpler things that happen after football, right? In life, right? You're at a job, or you're doing this, you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is, you're trying to work towards something, and you continue to meet different roadblocks. Well, these roadblocks aren't going to be anywhere near as painful as the roadblocks you experienced in football, but allows you to be able to mentally get through it. One thing football did teach me really well was mental toughness. And I've taken that into everything. So even in the Navy too, we weren't playing football once I was an officer anymore, but there's still a lot of different challenges. It was a fight every single day, not only just against your adversaries, right? But even sometimes just within your own ranks, right? Everybody's super competitive. You have a lot of people who are very highly skilled at what they do, highly knowledgeable, and everybody's trying to climb the ranks. So you're learning how to battle through that and navigate through those types of communities and people. And as they're doing that, it just continued to teach me, okay, how do I deal with adversity, people, situations, objectives I'm trying to meet, whatever it is, how do I deal with that? I learned it a lot in the Navy. And from there, applied basically what I learned in football to the Navy, and applied what I learned in the Navy to what I'm doing in NASCAR and in the business world now.
Which is wild. I mean, I think it's so interesting when you say, first of all, we know you hire for character, you train for skill. You've had to work really hard for everything that you've done in your career. But let's talk about how you bridge the gap between football to NASCAR. I mean, was that just something that you did you enjoy NASCAR as a kid? Was that a part of your childhood?
How do you get into racing?
Yeah, I'm so curious to know more about that.
I think so I always liked racing, right? My whole life. Since I was a kid, I always liked cars. I always thought racing was cool. Never in my mind did I think I was going to become a race car driver. I don't think ever. It wasn't even something I even maybe had a few thoughts about it in college, just because I was watching a little bit more racing, learning a little bit more about it, but still never took it serious. Didn't really start taking it serious until about 2014. But prior to that, I hadn't even been to any professional races. I just seen some stuff on TV. I was doing track days with my car. So I have a Corvette C6 Z06 that I was taking to local road course tracks in Southern California, doing these open track days where a group will rent out the track, provide an opportunity for people to go on track for, 5 or so sessions, 20-minute sessions, and drive their cars to the fastest, to the best of their ability that day. And I was doing that. I was doing those, every, once or twice a month.
As a hobby, right? Just for fun?
Yeah. Well, it is for fun for the most part. Nothing, it's not real competition or anything. It is time trials in a way, right? You are being timed, right? And trying to see if you can get faster and faster laps. But it's not like wheel to wheel competition. It's not like you're showing up, 30 folks are lined up on a grid and you're going at it at the same time. Like, you might have a bunch of people on the track, but you're not competing. Like at the end of the day, if somebody's trying to pass you, you can just point them by and pass. No one wins anything. There's no money. You just go have fun and that's it. It's like going to the go-kart track and just running with your friends. That's basically what it is. Yeah. And I was doing that. And then in January of 2014, I was sitting in my room one night. I was wondering, like, what's the next big step for me in life? I wasn't playing football anymore. I had just graduated from the Naval Academy a few years ago. I was trying to figure out what's that next big exciting thing. And for me, because I was really doing a lot of these track days, I decided that my next biggest thing was to get into professional racing. Like, why not? I like cars. I like racing. Why not become a professional race car driver? So I pulled my whiteboard off the wall. I erased whatever goals I had on there and I wrote one big goal, and that was to become a professional race car driver.
Wow.
And once I wrote that down, that was the start of the journey. I put it, pen to paper. And once again, I had to turn a thought into a thing. And I knew that I needed to put constant, consistent energy and action towards it every single day, coupled with major faith that it was actually going to happen, because I had this vision. And I felt like this vision was given to me by God. Like, God put it in my head that you can become a professional race car driver as long as you're willing to put the action in towards it every single day. And that's what I did. From there, I was like, okay, what do I got to do? And I'd continue to grind, continue to walk forward, even though there was no real path. at all. It's not like football where, oh, go play high school, college, and then you maybe make it to the NFL, whatever. There's no path. So I had to figure out how to create it by just asking people, talking to people, networking, and just continue to push forward. I figured, hey, if I continue to walk forward, eventually I'll see a door. I might knock, maybe it gets open, maybe it doesn't, or maybe I got to kick it down. Whatever I got to do, I'll keep pushing forward and make this happen. And, fast forward now it's 9 years later from the day I decided, we're racing national TV, NASCAR Xfinity Series.
And I mean, one of the most well-respected people in the sport. I mean, like, I was amazed. I had the opportunity and really the blessing to be able to come out to Texas Motor Speedway and to see the big car reveal the day that Emmitt was out there. And we'll get to that, because what a really cool season of life that you're in right now, living your dream, right? Every single weekend. But you talk a lot about faith in your journey. What about hope? Like, what role does hope play in your journey from football to NASCAR and everything in between?
Hope is huge. And one of the things that I've been trying to do over the last few years is, in the beginning of my journey, as I was trying to work my way up, what I learned was there isn't a lot of people out there who were willing to help, but the few people who were, they gave me hope. Right. So then I almost stopped, like when I tell people that, hey, I've learned a lot throughout this journey and I can help people. And so me usually telling folks that I'm going to help them. Usually I tell them I'm going to hope them, right? I'm going to give them the information or whatever knowledge, whatever I can, do what I can with what I have to hope them into their future, hope them into their next journey,
it's
hope
your
them
verb.
into
I'm here for
their
it.
path.
I love
And
that.
it's just being able to help hope people. It really gives people the opportunity to really kind of see themselves become who they're supposed to become, achieve what they're supposed to achieve, and get to where they're supposed to be going. There's, with the lack of help out there, I think with more and more in this world, I feel like people are siloing themselves and getting away from humanity, right?
Yeah.
I think the more that we as people and people who even have influence can come together and continue to show people that it's okay to hope other people. It's okay to help other people. It's okay to be positive. It's okay to be kind. The more we show that, I think hopefully the more it spreads goodness around the world. But hope is huge.
Who are some people that hoped you into where you are? I'm sorry. Who are some people that hoped you into where you are and right now at this point in your career?
I would say one of the first few people, at least on the racing side of things, Billy Johnson. He races right now. He's raced all over. He's run for Ford, he's run in different sports car series. He's done a little bit of NASCAR too as well. So when I first was getting into racing, I had reached out to a bunch of professional drivers who were racing in different series. I can't remember how many, but at least 30, 40, 50 people. And he was one of the 2 or 3 that actually answered me back. Everybody else either ignored it or didn't see it or whatever. And he answered me and he answered my questions I had. I was saying, hey, here's who I am. This is what I'm trying to do. This is where I'm trying to go. And he just started giving me his story. And he told me, look, dude, there's no just straight path to get to where you want to go. You just have to make it work. And here's how I made it work. Here's how some other people have made it work. It gave me information, which once again, it hoped me. It gave me hope that there is a way that, hey, I'm not locked out of this goal or journey. It just basically allowed me to continue to say yes to my journey. And I would say Billy Johnson was one of the first few people, a lot of other people along the way too, as well. I listened to a lot of motivational speakers like Eric Thomas and Les Brown, and those two right there. And they definitely hope people a lot.
I met Les Brown a long time ago. What an amazing guy. He was back when he was married to Gladys Knight back in the day. And right after, in 96, after Gladys had sang the national anthem for the Atlanta Olympics, the Olympics in Atlanta, and we just happened to be, I don't remember where it was. I think it was in LA. I think Les was out there in LA, but I was driving Gladys. I kind of like drove the car and drove her from one event over to this other. I wasn't even a driver. I was just like the 19-year-old son of, my parents who were involved in this event. And so I'm driving Gladys and I'm going, if I wreck this car and take out Gladys Knight, like the world will hate me. So I've never been more nervous about driving the car. Like I'm driving this icon and I wanted to ask her a question. All I could manage to ask her was, what was that like to sing in front of the world at the, and she was gracious with my dumb
what a
question.
Small world. That's crazy.
Amazing guy. I mean, Les is a great example. I wanted to come back to something you just said a minute ago that my mind is just swirling on this. I love goal writing. I think goal writing is absolutely essential. And when you see someone who has accomplished as much as Jesse or Emmitt Smith or other people like that in the world, they are all goal writers. And you said you took your whiteboard, so you have a whiteboard. You took your whiteboard, you erased it, and you wrote down goals. What role does goal writing play in your life?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge, right? So I'm a huge believer in a lot of different things, right? But one thing I do know is if you have a vision in your head, right, in order to go from here to actually making it happen, the first big step is to take action, right? And the easiest actionable step is to actually write it down, because now you are committing energy, thoughts, wavelength, everything towards this is going to happen. You're actually writing it down, and you're putting it into the world now. It's coming from here. We have a lot of things that go through our head, right? But to actually put it down on paper, that's your first step. You are now committing to something. Your mind is now triggering different responses to be like, okay, Jesse is wanting to go in a certain direction. He's writing this down. He wants to make this happen. I don't even know what you want to call it, but what connectors do we have to make happen in the mind to start paving this way, right? It's just like, let's say you're not a good swimmer, but then you fall into a pool. You're usually not going to just give up. You're not going to be like, well, I'm done. That's it. No. You are going to start making a lot of connections in your brain to figure out how to get out of there as quick as possible, right? So it's the same thing. Once you write down that goal and you're actually committing energy towards it, your brain is going to start thinking of how to make this happen. It's not going to start thinking of how can't I make it happen. It's going to be like, how can I make it happen? And that's why writing down a goal is very important. And after you write it down, you start putting action towards it every day. Do something towards it every day, even if it's sending some emails out to some people trying to connect, even if it's going to an event, going to a conference, even if it's going into that industry and working for free for somebody, whatever it is, just start committing energy and action towards it every single day. And as you continue to do that, and as you continue in your mind to continue to ask, how can I versus how can't I? You'll be surprised how far you go, and you will accomplish whatever you were meant to accomplish.
That's so good. I really want to get into NASCAR because I'm such a fan of the sport. And
she doesn't mean drive in NASCAR. She means talk about it.
He's inspiring me. I might have to write it down on my whiteboard at home. Danica, watch out. But I want you to know one of my favorite moments, and I haven't had a chance to tell you this, Jesse, but when we had the opportunity to come out and see the NBCF logo, it was actually the Game Pink logo on the Notable Live car. Emmitt was out there, and we kind of were off to the side, and I was standing with the pit crew that day. And I know that they change. It's not always the same pit crew at every race, but those guys, Jesse, that day, everybody around us was like, there's Emmitt, there's Emmitt, there's Emmitt. And your pit crew said, there's Jesse. And I remember thinking I was there for you. I was so excited to meet you. Your brothers were there. I mean, it was like, what a fun moment that day to be there, to see the unveiling of the car and the logo and everything. But it was such a surreal moment to me. And I was telling the guys this before we went live today. You spent hours with us that day. I mean, you didn't let anything stand in the way of meeting everybody. You looked everybody in the eye. You didn't just listen. You asked questions. You wanted to get to know everybody. And it was just so impressive to me, because I genuinely think who you are off that track is what makes us so proud to know you. And it's what makes you you. It's been exciting to see over these last few years, Michael Jordan coming into the sport, Emmitt Smith coming into the sport. It's all these intersecting worlds falling in love with the sport of NASCAR. What is it like to be a part of an era where all of these huge notable figures are coming together to fall in love with NASCAR all over again?
I think it's great. It's really great for the sport, having different people from different backgrounds coming in, because it helps continue to diversify the sport, right? We can't just have the sport be one way, single lane the whole way. I mean, we have to continue to diversify. We have to continue to grow. In order to grow, you got to bring in people from different origins, right? Michael Jordan coming from the basketball world, Emmitt coming from the NFL world, all these different folks who were jumping in, who were interested. I mean, that only continues to help it grow, continues to diversify it, continues to just add different backgrounds and cultures, you name it, which once again will just continue to allow us to grow and modernize with the current state of the world, right? And by having these different folks, I think it's exciting. It's awesome. I've been just being fortunate enough to even come into the sport from the military world. That's been pretty amazing. So it's a good thing. It's a really good thing to see all these new faces coming in, and I hope we continue to bring in more.
And Jesse, thank you for your service. We would be remiss if we didn't say that. The only active military member racing in NASCAR at the level that you're at. Thank you for that. And thank you for not letting your dream and the opportunity to be the biggest celebrity in the world stand in the way of something that's so important to you. Thank you for your service. That we mean that.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Yeah. Hasn't been easy balancing it, but it's been great being able to do it. And some people will ask me sometimes, hey, why do you do both? Just go focus this on NASCAR stuff. You already done your Navy time. You've been in, all that stuff. I'm like, I got to do both. The reason why is because there's so many like kids, right? 17, 18, 19, whatever, looking up to this journey who are seeing me do what I'm doing. And it's allowing them to go after their goals and dreams. It's allowing them to not be afraid to join the military or do this or do that. They're saying, hey, if he can do all that, I can at least do this. And that's why I got to stay in so I can continue to show it, because I don't, eventually I'll be the person who's like, I used to be in the military, but right now, while I still got the opportunity to be in, I'm going to be the person who's like, I'm in and I'm in here too. I'm in all these different spaces. I'm doing it all at once. I'm making it happen. You don't have to do everything like that, but if you can at least do one, it'll be good.
Yeah, that's incredible. Have you had any bad wrecks in the last?
He's like, how many today?
All right, how many engines have you wrecked? But no, for real, did you have any that just you went, oh no, this is not going to go well? Like you're heading towards a wall, and what was that like, and what was the outcome?
I've had plenty of wrecks, right? I think in NASCAR, you race long enough, you'll have plenty of wrecks. Everybody wrecks. But I would say one of the worst ones was Vegas 2019. 2019. We were in qualifying and it was super, super hot, like way hotter than in the morning when we practiced. It was like maybe like mid 70s. By the time we got to qualifying, it was like almost 100 degrees. So the track surface temperature changed a whole bunch. Yeah. We went out there with a certain setup. I think it was a little bit too loose. It was way too loose, actually. We were in qualifying. I was on my out lap. I go into turn 3. The car gets a little loose. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Whatever. Get back in the gas. And then coming out on the exit in turn 4, it just completely snaps. And it snaps. And me being the person I am, who was like, oh, I can save it. I stand in the throttle to see if I can just drift out of it. But what it ends up doing, it doesn't just drift me out of it or spin me out of it. It just drives me forward towards where I was pointing. By that time, I was already sideways. Now it just drives me completely forward towards the inside wall on pit lane. And I just basically take a wild ride straight towards it, head on into that pit lane, hit the wall, and it was all bad. I walked right out of it. I was fine, but it definitely jarred me pretty good. I would say that's probably like my worst wreck. I've been in other wrecks that looked worse than that, but like that one was bad.
It's always the ones that don't look as bad. You mentioned drifting. I know you have a soft spot in your heart for drifting. I watch all your videos. I know. Yeah. Fast and Furious 27. It's going to be Jesse, the star of the show. Yeah, Carrollton Drift. What's up?
Carrollton
but
Drift.
What do you think about all these dirt tracks? Like, I feel like fans of the sport, like I'm old school NASCAR and I love it, right? I think it's cool to see it evolve. I know that a lot of the drivers, some of them are here for it, some of them aren't, but somebody who appreciates drifting and sliding around like that, what do you think about all these dirt tracks?
Dirt is cool. I've run a lot of dirt races in outlaw carts. I've run a dirt race in a dwarf. I've been in a non-wing sprint car at least 3 or 4 times. I've gotten hundreds of laps in that. Wow. And then I think I drove a dirt modified once. Just practicing with it. But yeah, I've been on dirt a bunch and I drift a lot. They have a lot of similarities in that it's all about car control. It's all about feeling the vehicle, feeling, okay, where's it at? What kind of grip do I have? Because as much as it looks like you don't have any kind of grip and you're just sliding around just all over the place, you're really not. There is grip in your slide. Same thing with drifting, the same thing with dirt. The only thing with, in drifting, you're like using a lot of wheel. You're like, boom, 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 over here, over there. Whereas in dirt racing, you're just right here. You're just trying to work that wheel as much as you can with that. But they're both really fun. It teaches really good car control. I feel like every racing driver out there at some point should run some dirt races or do some drifting. It's really great to just kind of learn how to be over the edge, but still controlled.
Yeah. That's
Well,
cool.
hey, iRacing, and obviously you're the co-founder of eRacing Associates. What is the role? I feel like this is an emerging thing. I mean, I bought a Logitech steering wheel a few weeks ago to do iRacing with my son. Yeah, that's what I told my wife. It's actually just for me, but
For the kids.
But anyway, what this is pretty exciting. I mean, there's this whole world out there of just like millions of people around the world that are competing in. It's very competitive. I know Max Verstappen from Formula One is huge into e-racing. And so, what are your thoughts on that, and what is your project that you've been working on in that regard?
Yeah, so we have the E-Racing Association where we put on big tournaments for sim racing. And in these tournaments, people can win cash prizes. Our biggest ones, we give out $5,000 total cash prize pool.
Wow.
And racers from home can jump on iRacing and compete in our events. And if you win, you'll win $4,000. If you get second place, you'll get $500 and so on. And it's a pretty cool event for people to basically feel like a pro. You're racing on a broadcasted race. We broadcast it on social media. We stream it to all different pages, and we have a professional, broadcast team. We have commentary, everything, just like real life TV. So you're getting that kind of exposure, but also you are competing for money. So you feel like a pro. So you actually go out there and race against really good drivers, and if you win or finish in the top 5, you actually take home money, and not just take home. You're like already home. So from home, you win money. So it's a really cool thing that we put together. We're growing it. It's E-Racing Association. ERA is our is the short version of it. But it's been really fun. We look to expand it, get some more titles in there. Right now, we're basically focused right now on PC, console, and also Mario Kart. Right, Mario Kart's like our
there you go, for fun. Yeah,
it's an entry for kids and
that's
parents,
competitive,
right?
man.
Oh, very. Those
cool.
guys, like guys and girls, will kick my butt all day. I tried to jump in a few times. I'm like, I can't hang with them.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up here, Jesse, I just want to say, I mean, that another prime example of you really having a platform to make everybody feel like somebody. How cool that e-racing does that, right? You don't have to be a $1 billion celebrity in a professional stock car doing it. You can be sitting in your living room, girl, guy, no matter what age, and feel like you're somebody. I think that's so cool. Do you have a favorite NASCAR driver? I've always wanted to ask you this. Of all time.
Of all time. Yeah. Of all time. Oh, yeah, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Of course.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Really good person, very down to earth, super fun, funny, just cool. And I think with just all the attention surrounding him, the media around him, all that stuff, he's never been like this stuck up guy or anything like that. He's always been super cool. I first met him in 2015 at Sonoma. He was getting ready for qualifying. Cameras were all around him. He was trying to walk to his car. And a lot of drivers get really annoyed by that. And they don't even talk to any of the fans. They just keep pushing forward. Or if you try to get a picture with them, they'll just keep walking. And you just got to try to take a picture with them as they're walking. He's like, not like that. He actually stopped. And I think he shook my hand and said, hey, it took a picture with me right there before he kept going. And that's with him being super busy right before qualifying, which qualifying is very nerve wracking, right? Yeah. And he was able to do that. So for me, from that time, I was like, man, this is cool. This is somebody I would like to emulate. You saw
that and said, I want to be that guy when I have the chance, right?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of similarities. I mean, he spent some time in the booth. You have done amazing in the booth. We haven't even had a chance to dive into your broadcast career. You're fantastic at that, Jesse. There are just so many layers to this. What I would love to do, with your permission, when you have a break, I know how busy you are, but bring you back for another episode. Let's talk more about your partnership with Emmitt. Let's talk more about this fun season of life you're in personally. I mean, look, you can Google all these stats and facts, but how cool to be able to pull back the curtain on your personal life. I'd love to learn more about your mom. We'll have to have you back. Would you come back to the Hope Ignited table sometime?
Yeah, most definitely.
And saying you'll have to give us a little sneak peek of the whiteboard, the infamous whiteboard.
I wish I still had it because that was like a magical whiteboard. If I had it right now, I'd be like, okay, let me put
put that thing on eBay
on there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, it's been a real pleasure having you on today. You're a great inspiration. Sure appreciate it. Just keep doing your thing, man. It's amazing stuff.
Thank you for making it easy to be your biggest fan, Jesse.
Yeah.
Seriously, we mean that from the bottom of our heart, and we can't wait to turn that car pink again soon, okay?
That's right.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys
Thanks,
next
everyone.
time right here on Hope Ignited.